From the Beaver County Auto Studios, it is Pittsburgh Sports Live and Pittsburgh Hockey Now, another live chat. Hi, I'm Dan Kingerski. Thank you for joining us today, Tuesday, November something or other, when there's a few days off and the holidays. I have no idea what the date is. Was it today the 27th? I think. So that's where we stand. Want to get into a few things here. The Penguins have back-to-backs tonight in Winnipeg, tomorrow in Denver against the Colorado Avalanche. So both goalies will play. We can talk about the goalie situation here in a few minutes as well. I think there's some real meat in that discussion to be had. And I don't mean to be contrarian because, well, I'll save that, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. I want y'all to join in on the chat board. Please, it's more fun when you participate instead of lurk. So hop on the YouTube page, the live chat board. And in fact, you know what? I even go through the comments after the live portion as well. So feel free to leave me something there if you're viewing this afternoon on Tuesday. So want to get through a couple things. Of course, you know, like every good Yento rolling around Florida, I'm a proud grandparent. There was how my Thanksgiving was spent. I actually hosted my first Thanksgiving, and there's the grandkid with much better hair than, you know what? I'm far too young to be called pappy or grandpa. I just refuse. So I call myself G-Pops. Yeah, it's not any cooler than when I say it out loud either, but that's where we sit. So back-to-backs, Penguins, Jets, Penguins, Avalanche. This is really, I think, a great time for the Penguins to draw these two teams. Yes, they're both very good. Winnipeg is 13-7-2 rolling into tonight. Obviously, maybe the best team in the Western Conference, even though they're in fourth place in that wildly competitive Central Division. I still like Winnipeg more than I do most teams, pending Connor Hellebuck, of course. But what we've seen is when these intra-conference games, not inter, but intra, and the Penguins go west, they there's just a different game. There's a different intensity. You saw that on the Western Canadian road trip where the Penguins won all three games, both in Alberta and one in Vancouver. There's just a different flow. And that really benefits the Penguins, who could really use to stack some wins, obviously, after their 1 win in 10 games slide that saw them plummet to the bottom of the Eastern Conference. So it won't be the same kind of game you saw against New Jersey or even some of the scrappier teams like the Islanders or Montreal. What you'll see is actually Winnipeg being a bit of a heavy team, or a lot of a heavy team. I like this matchup for the Penguins. It's going to force them into their game. Columbus did that. Columbus forced the Penguins into their game by playing tough and tight to open the game, and the Penguins complied. And that's why the Penguins beat Columbus. There's also a couple other reasons. And here is the biggest reason for the Penguins' turnaround. Now, I'll give you a second to look at that. Not my name. Take a look there. This is, a minute 30 into the hockey game. This is the Penguins' de facto third line, Derick Brassard, with Zach Aston Reese and I think Dominic Simone. Take a look. What do you see there? Here's the term, 3 sticks. I think this is going to become Mike Sullivan's catchphrase for the next couple months now. 3 sticks in the battle. Count them right there at the top. 1, 2, 3, with puck support from Derick Brassard, who is staying between his man, the extra man, and the net. So the Penguins not only have numbers in this puck battle, they've kept Columbus to the perimeter. Let Columbus play with their ass to the net, as Herb Brooks used to say. Let them play out there. But the Penguins actually won this puck battle. Where's the second picture? Here we go. Now, they cycled it around a couple times, never got a shot on goal. And eventually, Brian Rust at the point caused a turnover. But there again, look at the top of the screen. 3 sticks. 3 sticks surrounding the puck. The Penguins had numbers the entire shift. Also, look down at the bottom of the screen. You'll see Brian Dumoulin bodying up. Juuso Riikola has his man. Everything was coordinated. 5-man defensive effort. And that's how you play it. Look, the Penguins are not going to skate around and past other teams anymore. It's just not going to happen. And I think it was important to show you that. Really, just watch how tight the Penguins are going to play. When they play it that tight, they win. Because no team can outscore them in a tight game. It's one of those. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. You'll forgive me. I'm hopped up on cold medicine. Little Leo did leave his cold with me over Thanksgiving. The first one I've had in years, but I guess it was worth it. When the Penguins play defense, other teams can't beat them. Now, that little sequence I showed you resulted in a great scoring chance, actually. Garrett Wilson diving in front of the net, chipping a backhand that Joonas Korpisalo made a nice pad save on. If they can continue to do that, and this is, I've been writing about this now for about 3 weeks, simplifying the game, understanding that they're not a speed team. Sure, they're fast, but they're not a speed team. And they have a physical superiority combined with their talent make them potentially one of the best teams in the NHL. Now, in the third period of the Columbus win, they got sloppy. They went for the kill, and they opened up the game. It's like, no, wrong answer. Stop it. Do not open up the game. Because for whatever reason, or various reasons, when the Penguins open up, they get sloppy. They give up more scoring chances than they get. They should own an open hockey game, but they do not. Because they play East and West, not North and South. And other teams without the same talent level as the Penguins don't make such silly and stupid plays. And that benefits the opponent, not the Penguins. So when they keep it tight, when they play the 5-man, 3-stick game, they're, I don't want to say unbeatable, but damn, you better bring a lunch pail and your A game to beat the Penguins. I want to say hi to Hugh, Brad, and our boy NES Addict. I love that handle, NES, because I've got an original Nintendo myself. Although I've got a 3D TV, and so I couldn't beat Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, because that extra, 0.3 seconds, as I got to the later stages of that game, that 0.3 was just killing me. And I never got around to getting a tube TV in the last couple months. So if anybody has an old tube TV, from the 90s, before HD, I'll happily take it off of your hands. They cost like $35 to recycle. I'll take it off of your hands for free. Anywho, I want to give a little quick shout out to our friends at Beaver County Auto. They'll make a Bubba Beaver believer out of you. They're treating us so well. And I want to Give them all the props that we can. They're paying for the studio, and then they're paying a bit more as well. So if you are going to buy a car in the winter, which I know everyone buys a car in June for some reason, but definitely check out Beaver County Auto. They specialize in the Dodge and the Ram and those things that go well in the snow. So check them out. A couple other things I want to get to. I do want to get into the Penguins' goaltending situation. First of all, fantastic photo by Michael Miller that he allowed us to use on Pittsburgh Hockey Now. You can follow Michael on Twitter at PensR, the letter R, your daddy. Pens are your daddy. He likes taking photos of Tristan Jarry when he's up, amongst a couple other players. I have to be careful how I phrase some of this stuff, because I don't want to give a false impression that I'm in some way bagging on Jarry or putting down the Penguins goaltenders, because that is the furthest from the truth. What I am going to do right now, though, is provide some context. Remember about 2 years ago, everybody was fawning over themselves for Matt Murray. Yeah, I'll let you try. You see where I'm going with this, right? You see exactly what pond I'm going to take, or what stream I'm going to lead you to have you drink from. I think Tristan Jarry has the potential to be a top-flight NHL goaltender. No ifs, no ands, no buts. He's not quite there yet. He has a little more seasoning. I don't know if that seasoning should come at the NHL level or the AHL level. I haven't seen enough yet. I saw one really good start, but that's all. And Casey DeSmith. What's the saying in baseball? Third time through the lineup is when they get to you. You know, some of the back-end starting pitchers. Well, DeSmith hasn't been through the lineup 3 times yet. And there's a great deal we don't know about him yet. And so what I'm saying is caution. Before you anoint Casey DeSmith as the Penguins' starting goaltender, or Tristan Jarry as the starting goaltender and a franchise goalie, these guys have a lot more to prove. These guys have to get through the lineup a 3rd time. And then we'll begin to find out. And I think that's what happened in Matt Murray's 3rd and 4th time through the lineup. Like, I don't know how many of you follow me long term, and how many of you are new to the Dan Kingerski experience. But what I wrote a year ago, maybe even more than that now, was wait until about 80 to 100 games of an NHL goaltender's career before you can make a judgment. And literally, almost on cue, Murray passed 100 games, and I said, oh, look, Matt Murray has arrived. And no sooner did I write that, came Murray's precipitous fall. But it's in that maybe I should have expanded my range from 80 to 100 to 80 to 120. Because if you do the research, somewhere in there, goaltenders have the dip. And their pushback, their rebound is really what defines their career. You can have a great start, first 40, 50, 80 games. It's after that, when the opponents know what your weak spots are, that we find out exactly what the goaltenders are made of. I don't see a hole in Tristan Jarry just yet. I see that he can be a little scrambly. He can be a little bouncy. The puck can spring off of him, a bit like Marc-Andre Fleury in both respects. Not as exaggerated as younger Fleury certainly was, or even middle Fleury. There's been more than a few chapters to Marc-Andre Fleury's career, hasn't there? I see some of that in Tristan Jarry. DeSmith is an entirely different animal, and I hate breaking down goaltenders because I think you have to be an expert at this point to really break down goalies. But I'll give you my best shot from what I know and what I've heard and what people have, experts have told me. DeSmith is actually a decent goaltender from what it seems. He doesn't really have top-end skill. He's a puck stopper. His stick side can be a little bit exposed. And obviously, rebounds and those sorts of things can be an issue with DeSmith as well. I tend to think we're seeing the best of DeSmith right now. I mean, he'll get a little bit better with anticipation, reading plays. Perhaps Ty Conklin would be a good comparison for DeSmith. DeSmith is a little bigger, obviously, but an older guy, 27, is DeSmith, much like Ty Conklin, who I think made his NHL debut at 26, 27. So there's some real parallels there. Hey, Conklin got Edmonton to the Cup Finals back in 04? Or is it 06? When you're old, all the years run together, don't they? Maybe some of you can help me out on the chat board. Please do, by the way. But I wanted to add that context. Don't get carried away with the Penguins goaltenders yet. Because right now, there's a little bit of a backup quarterback fever. They're the new toys. They're much better than Matt Murray. And they might be. Actually, they are in the short term. While Murray just looks lost, doesn't he? He looked lost before the injury. And it's going to take some real work. It's going to take a bounce. It's going to take I'm a big believer in singular moments. I asked Murray about this, I think a couple weeks ago, about one moment, and he doesn't believe in them. I do. One big save, one big moment, when you feel like, hey, the sun is rising, you feel better about yourself. You can have all the confidence in the world. You can tell yourself every positive affirmation on the planet, and athletes are human beings too. When you feel like the sun is setting, when you're waiting for that bad bounce, when you're waiting for the team to give up an odd man break that you can't stop, when you're just waiting for crap to hit the fan, it does affect your game. And I think Murray needs that big moment that galvanizes him once again. He won a couple Stanley Cups largely without adversity. He was injured a couple times. But that's an entirely different adversity. Coming back and feeling good, your confidence doesn't waver when you're injured. Let's see. I'm actually going to tweet this out here. I want to see more of you on the... Yep, there we go. Your confidence doesn't waver until you get knocked around. And now Murray's being knocked around. Can I get a Kleenex here real quick? Sing some Beaver County auto music. They don't have we have to get them a cool jingle, don't we? There. I need Paul Schaefer to play me some drinking music for me. Do you all ever watch some of the BBC stuff that comes on Facebook? Or Kitty Flanagan? I think she actually read Bud Moonshine's rules for the Strip District, because she's doing a routine right now that is almost identical to the crap I used to fling at tourists and oblivious suburbanites who come down to the Strip District and walk 3 abreast on the sidewalk. It's like the sidewalk's meant for 2 people. You can't stop, you can't huddle in the middle of the sidewalk, and you can't walk 3 abreast. Single file, going each way. Anyway, there I am. I'm getting sidetracked a little bit. So we're kind of going through the Penguins goalies there. And I'm not going to bash Matt Murray. I'm not going to go there. Let's just admit that he's lost. And that's where things stand with him. You just don't know where it's going to be. I do like Jarry's potential, but don't make it any more than that. Not yet, anyway. I've got a lot of tweets and Facebook comments. Make Jarry the starter. Jarry's better. The answer is, if you toss a goaltender into the deep end too soon, that's when things get exposed too quickly. There's a lot of goaltenders floating around Canada, small towns in Canada, who got exposed too quickly, or just exposed, and never had a career after that, out of hockey a couple of years later. So I always caution a little bit with goaltenders. It's like starting pitchers. It very much is a lot of the same thing. Also, I want to get to this guy, Kris Letang. Nobody is talking about Letang. Like, really, nobody is. And in part, it's because I think the fans who stuck by him, who kind of put their fingers in their ears last year and said, he's great, feel vindicated this year because Letang is really on top of his game. I mean, A+ on top. And the fans who were just piling on last year, hate to say, boy, I was wrong. And so there's a silence right now around Kris Letang. I was up and down on him last year, much like his game. I think in retrospect, the Penguins should have sat him down for a good couple of weeks mid-season. Let him rest, let him recuperate, let him work physically on himself. Maybe a good month in the middle of the season last year, because they weren't getting a very good defenseman. But what we're seeing this year is a rested and healthy Letang looks Norris Trophy quality. And I don't know if I made this challenge to you on the last chat. Spread the word. Amanda asked, will Letang ever win a Norris? Perfect question, Amanda. It's going to take your help. Believe it or not, it's going to take your help, because there is a certain perception of Letang. And the Norris is a bit of a reputation trophy, much like the Hart Trophy. And so it's going to take an effort from the Penguins fans to begin to push that narrative. Instead of leaving with 7 minutes to go, you should be chanting Norris when Letang touches the puck, or when they show, I think the fans really have to get re-engaged with the Penguins. There's a lot of taking it for granted. There's still a lot of sated fans, satisfied, fat, and happy. They won the couple cups. This is all just kind of playing out the string, going through the motions. The arena atmosphere bears that out, and really has for a while now. So, Amanda, get it started. Norris, Letang is every bit deserving of it right now. If I had to vote at the quarter poll, he'd be in my top 3. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Letang would be in the top 3. He'd be a finalist for the trophy. She does ask, which pair do I like better, Johnson and Letang or Dumo and Letang? That's an interesting question because in a vacuum, I like Johnson Letang. However, in the context of the team, I'm kind of digging this Johnson and Oleksiak pairing. I mean, I really am. It's here's Johnson dumping Michael Kempney. As I go to the Kleenex. Hang on one more second. Ain't nobody here Dan need to sniffle. I like the Johnson Letang combo because I think Johnson is showing to be a remarkable shutdown center, or a shutdown defenseman. He really is tending to his own zone extraordinarily well. And even his Corsi. Let me see if I've got it here. Darn it, I had it. Let me see if I can get it. There it is. Here is Johnson's scoring chances, which oddly enough is inversely proportional or inversely tied to his Corsi. When his Corsi is high, his scoring chances are negative. But when his scoring chances are positive, and the blue line is good. So when the blue line is above the orange, that's good. And there's the last 10 games for Jack Johnson. A couple bobbles, and then rebounding well. Let's get back to Jack Johnson. I love that picture. Photographer Icon Sportswire did a fantastic job on that. And there's a couple theories. I mean, it's not supposed to work that way. When your Corsi is above water, your scoring chances should be above water. But with Johnson, because he's a different kind of player, and this is why I cringe, and I do get a bit irritated when you present a fully laid out explanation and analysis of a situation, and fans kind of go, Jack Johnson sucks. He's awful. That drives me insane. Because what it means is that when other teams take the puck and are pressing the Penguins, Johnson's Corsi takes a hit. But his scoring chances don't. That means he's absorbing shots. He's defending the zone well, and other teams are not getting scoring chances despite getting shot attempts. That's hugely important. Like, do you I think if you're watching my chat, you probably understand what I'm saying there. And you understand the nuance of that. That's defending your own zone very well. Now, when the Penguins are on the attack, Johnson's not as good. Johnson is not a guy who plays with the puck well. That's just a fact. And I hate to offer any negatives because fans take the negative and run with it. But Johnson is a guy you have on your top pairing who can shut it down, who can just shut down the other team. But with Dumoulin and Letang, Dumoulin can do a good bit of that. And there's something about that Johnson-Oleksiak pairing. It shouldn't work on paper. Two left-handed thumpers. But it is. They're not going to provide much offense, to be quite honest. But they're providing enough puck movement and enough backside push to be competitive, to keep teams honest, which allows Riikola and Mata to play together. And for whatever reason, Mata seems to be playing better with Riikola than he has with any other defenseman this season. Mata was terrible with Alexiak and Johnson. Just brutal. So the Penguins may have found something there with those three pairings, Dumoulin on the top and Johnson and Mata. NES says, I'm new to the Dan experience. This is the first year. I appreciate that. I should find those old rules for the strip district. People got really upset when I put, well, let me rephrase that. The people who were the offenders got really upset when I was they were essentially basic rules of common courtesy, which I guess in 2018 is cause for offense. Let's see here. What other questions have we got? Hi, Brad. How are you? I do appreciate everyone. Log on to that chat board. Fire away your questions and comments. Even if you disagree with me, I'll be happy to take them, maybe break them down a little bit. Or, it does happen where you present a point that makes sense to me. Certainly been there as well. And Train Fan wants to know what I think of Tanner Pearson. I was meh at the time of the trade. Train. I really was. I thought it was kind of a lateral swap, and I thought the Penguins got slower, which I was okay with, as long as the Penguins recognized their team, recognized their new identity. And I think Pearson is dragging the Penguins into that new identity. So from that standpoint, I've gone from meh to awesome. I wrote last week, Train, that the Pearson is Jim Rutherford's latest steal. Because now there is a scoring threat on that left side with Evgeni Malkin. An honest game, a scoring threat, a puck retriever, bit of a physical presence. He's playing more physical than he did in Los Angeles. And you kind of combine those three things. He's not as fast as Hagelin. And so that actually, here, I'll go deeper into the Pearson question. 2.0 is this puts more importance on Zach Aston Reese, who kind of fills that Carl Hagelin penalty killer role. Aston Reese is a surprisingly good PK guy. I mean, he's surprisingly good in that role. Tenacious, gritty. He's not as fast. He doesn't strike fear, but maybe he should, because he is aggressive on the points and on the wall, and those puck battle wins become clears. It doesn't matter how you get there, as long as that puck gets out. Doesn't matter how pretty or how fast it happens. So yes, I would give Tanner Pearson an A. His first few games were really rough. There was just no chemistry with Malkin and Kessel. Those two were playing their game, and Pearson was like, what do I do? But it clicked very quickly for him. And actually, here's 3.0 for you, Train Fan, on that question. Pearson is actually dragging Malkin and Kessel into a north and south game, because he's able to, in the defensive zone, win the puck, and he's going with it. So in that sense, he's dragging Evgeni Malkin along for the ride. All three of those things are just they're welcome additions to the Penguins. And then when you can snap the puck in the net more often than Carl Hagelin, it's a win all around. You have to tip your cap to Jim Rutherford. And the funny thing is, all the people, Jim Rutherford's been terrible for 2 years. No, he hasn't. He had a bad 17, but not a bad 18, and it's getting better. So let's chill on that Jim Rutherford stuff, too. Brad wants to know, what do you think it will take to give Teddy Blueger a shot? Also, Sam Lafferty's having a great first season in the AHL. Maybe give him a few games. Let's take Lafferty first. I don't think you'll see Lafferty in the NHL this year. Look, I want to phrase this delicately. Just because we don't know what Lafferty would do in the NHL doesn't mean the professionals don't know, right? I wasn't overly high on Lafferty in preseason. He had some high points with Haggerty. But I didn't see him as an immediate threat to the NHL roster. Now, Teddy Blueger, on the other hand, I would be more inclined to give him a sweater than I would Derek Grant at this point. I really... Let me see if I've got... Well, I don't have it. Part of my column today, about Dominic Simone and the coaches praising him. Take a look at those advanced stats in that column. Please share it around. I think it's important to really educate a lot of Penguins fans on exactly what Simone is doing. And trust me, I'm going to tie this into Teddy Blueger here. And here's how I'm going to do it. When Simone and Grant play together, about 36 minutes worth, Grant had a 52% Corsi and I think a 60% scoring chance ratio. Those are good numbers. Without Simone, Grant it's about 50 minutes, 5-0. Without Simone, Grant is a 33% Corsi and about the same scoring chances. So that's what a huge, on the Dominic Simone front, that's what Simone means to the Penguins centers. Take a look at that column, please, on PittsburghHockeyNow.com. It really was fascinating to me to go through the numbers, how Simone elevates every single center. Crosby, Brassard, Grant, and Sheahan. So if you've got Derick Grant, who's a 33% Corsi without Simone, I tend to think Teddy Blueger would be superior. Blueger, as you probably know if you ask that question, is a bit of a Tasmanian devil. He is just all over the puck, all over the ice. And that might work against him. There were times when I definitely saw his line mates have to adjust, call switches in the defensive zone, and that can be tedious or difficult in the regular season at full speed, not the preseason where it's it's a step slower. But he certainly was not, down on the Daniel Sprong level of mistakes and learning the game. Blueger is an NHL player on most rosters. So I will respectfully disagree with the Penguins on leaving Blueger in the AHL. I think he could be a real spark plug on the fourth line. I really do. I think his speed and tenacity would be a very welcome addition. Let's see here. I guess a Kings fan chiming in. Looks like we got hosed. Jim strikes again. I don't know if the Kings got hosed. They got a pretty good player who's going to be a free agent after this year, so they're going to free up the Tanner Pearson money. And it wasn't exactly like Pearson was fitting in L.A. anymore. So it was a win-win for both teams. L.A.'s going to get that $4 million to spend or do whatever they want with it. Okay. Yep, I appreciate all the comments here. Keep those coming. I guess I should start these chats at 12:30 because the numbers build as we get towards 1 o'clock. I guess y'all go for lunch and then come back and hop on. But hey, I appreciate every single click and view. Do me a favor, like, share, and hit subscribe. Doesn't cost anything, but we have to get over 1,000 subscribers to get paid on the YouTube channel. We want this to be profitable beyond what our friends at Beaver County Auto do, so we have to get over 1,000. If you could help us get there, be wildly appreciated. Our goal was to be there in January, and we're about on that track. I'd like to get there sooner than later, and I think when we finally, the last steps to finishing a project are always the hardest. I have been driving my partners nuts trying to finish the studio. Should have been done 2 months ago, but also should have been done 2 weeks ago. Got the TV monitor. We've got the back wall almost done. Just a couple more pieces and parts, and they've been delivered. Now it's just a matter of getting here and getting the studio built. So we've hit the goaltenders. We've hit the 3 sticks. If you're just joining us, go back and watch the beginning after we're done. I went into the biggest reason why the Penguins have turned around, and that's the whole 3-stick model. You've heard Sullivan say that a lot lately. 3 sticks in the battle. And I don't want to go over it again for those of you who've been with us for most of the time. But you get what I'm saying. Go back and watch the beginning, if you can. We've hit the Jack Johnson. I guess I briefly mentioned Dominic Simone as well. I don't know how much more you want to get to, so fire away on the chat board. Let me know where you want to go with this. I'll go till 1 o'clock. I'll give you the full hour if you like. I do want to touch on the Penguins' third line with Derick Brassard, Dominic Simone, and Zach Aston Reese. And here they are defending in the zone against Columbus. They have been really good. I don't mean just, oh, okay, not bad for a third line. I mean, they've been good. They will begin to fill the net here. It's just a matter of time. Now, Zach Aston Reese is not going to be a great finisher. He is what he is. He's going to keep getting better. His finish will improve, much like Dominic Simone. Simone has 11 points in 22 games. I think he had 12 points in 33 games last year. So Simone is taking a step forward, and I think you're seeing the same with Aston Reese as well. It's a little bit of a shame that both Simone and Czar are taking their steps on the Penguins' third line. There isn't a better finisher on that line right now because they're getting chances. They're suppressing the opposition, and they're defending very well. And the one player that I really haven't spanked this season, I haven't criticized him, I haven't really gone too much into it, is Riley Sheahan on the fourth line. At some point, Sheahan has to show something. He's had good line mates. He's had bad line mates. His defense has slipped this year in his own zone. That's not good when you're providing no offense. A few points is all Sheahan has. And that's really not even close to good enough. His Corsi is just a black hole. His scoring chances are well below 50%. And that would be fine if he's playing, with terrible line mates. If you were saddled with Derek Grant and Daniel Sprong every night, you'd say, all right, he's just screwed. But that hasn't been the case. He had the same line mates that Derick Brassard is making hay with. Simone and Zach Aston Reese. He's had Phil Kessel. He's, he's even had Jake Gensel and Phil Kessel. But it hasn't translated. And the Penguins really, I think, are out of time. I don't understand the belief that he'll be their third-line center next year. Good grief, no. He's not even their fourth-line center this year. So maybe we should start getting into that topic in a little bit. All right. NES asked how I feel about Tanner Pearson. Yeah. I guess I went through that too, but A+ for Pearson. I think he is what the doctor ordered, and the Penguins could use another guy who can score. I think Penguins, in order, could use a right-handed defenseman capable of some real offensive push. They could use another 20-goal scorer type guy, maybe put on the right side of Sidney Crosby, maybe on the third line with Derick Brassard. And I wouldn't be opposed as a third shopping item, an experienced backup goaltender, because you just don't know where Matt Murray is headed at this point. He could come back house of fire and look like Marty Brodeur. Or he could come back worse for wear. Just do not know about Matt Murray at this point. So if the situation presented itself, I certainly, if I were the general manager, would be listening. And by the way, how about Philadelphia firing Ronnie Hextall? Paul Holmgren calling it philosophical differences? Essentially, here's what I think happened in Philadelphia. And I know you're all heartbroken. Hextall actually was remaking that team into a bit of a talent team, faster skating, less physical. But he was also being very patient with a lot of the young players. I think the Flyers want to go for it now. Philadelphia is not a patient organization. Ed Snyder did not say, okay, we'll have a 5-year plan. No, they go for it now. And so with guys like Oscar Lindblom and their young defensemen who've been up and down, I think you'll see some real changes in Philadelphia. I think Dave Haxtell will be the next to go very soon. I also think, and I don't know how it would work. In the NFL, you don't necessarily need permission to take a greater job. I don't know how it works in the NHL, and I apologize. I couldn't find it yesterday. I couldn't find the answers. I saw it. I don't know if a team could come in and steal Bill Guerin, make him their GM. Bill Guerin would be my number 2 choice if I was Philadelphia. My number 1 choice would be former Penguins assistant GM Tom Fitzgerald, who's in New Jersey. And if you look at the players, the college players that Fitzgerald has helped recruit and find, both in Pittsburgh and New Jersey, it's been exceptional. If you look at the influx of speed with Fitzgerald around, it's been significant. I think Fitzgerald has earned that shot, but I don't know if that can happen. I haven't seen a mid-season GM replacement or a mid-season GM firing without a replacement in a long, long time. I couldn't recall the last one. So appreciate everybody. It's coming up on 1 o'clock. I appreciate y'all taking your lunch hour and your lunch break with me. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. And share this as well. Hey, even if it's here's Mud Boonshine acting like an idiot again, that's fine with me. So as long as you get it out. And appreciate everybody. So we'll have more. We'll, of course, have full game coverage tonight or on the Winnipeg game. Pittsburgh hockey now doesn't appear like we're going to get on the road this season. I don't think. So we have to kind of cover from afar, and we have to use freelancers and different avenues like that when the Penguins are on the road. Anyway, I really wish we could get there, but we have to wait our turn. We have to kind of go through the hazing process, I guess, to become a real boy. We will. That I promise you. So check out the website, Pittsburgh Hockey Now. I am Dan Kingerski. We'll talk again. Probably we should do a live chat on Thursday because back-to-back games. We'll know a lot more Thursday. If the winds strike and the fans have something to talk about, we will do it on Thursday. Until then, kids, have fun.